Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comic Shop Talk on the Late Night Chat Network. I'm your host, Nico, and joining with me today, as always, my co-host, Chris. How you doing?
Hey, not too bad. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just trying to get into the spirit of things here with the holidays coming up. And I did want to quickly mention at the top of the show here, make sure to tune in because I think the fourth week this month of comics actually lands on Christmas, I think. So like that week we won't be doing comic shop talk. It's the one time a year where we skip the week because between Christmas and New Year, sometimes like there's a smaller week out of the 2 weeks of comics. And I'm sure this week it'll be the Christmas week. So we usually plan to come back in the new year for our first episode and do like a combined Christmas and New Year's week of comics for like a bigger list, which usually works out well and gives us a little bit of time off as well from doing the show. And during that time, we will be coming out with the Comic Shop Talk Awards, which I think this is going to be our third annual episode of Comic Shop Talk Awards, where me and Chris are going to be discussing our favorite things and not so favorite things sometimes that we read this year on the show. We'll be giving out awards, different categories and stuff. It's a nice discussion. Me and Chris usually get together to do it, and it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be coming out between Christmas and New Year's for you guys instead of your usual weekly Comic Shop Talk episode. So yeah, we're still gonna have a show for you, and that's kind of like to highlight some of our favorite things we've been reading this year, favorite artists, favorite writers, this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel. This is our weekly comic book review show where we talk about this comics that we've read each week. We show off some of the artwork, and then give you our thoughts and reviews on these issues, and tell you what our favorite book is that we've read every week. This week, we're going to be talking about the new comics that came out for the week of December 4th, 2024. And be forewarned, spoiler warning, as always, if you're afraid that we're going to spoil what happens in the books, because we will be discussing them. You can always read your book and then come back later and check us out. And we got a great playlist of different comic book content here and all kinds of great shows on the Late Night Chat Network. So remember, like and subscribe and check that stuff out. All right, Chris.
All
That
right,
being
well, let's
said,
talk comics. Yep,
talk some comics. Cheers.
good.
All right. All right. So first up on the docket here, like I said, since it is the Christmas season coming up, we got all of our Christmas books. Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #2. The first one we're talking about here this week. Did I get this one? Yeah, I got it right here. My first issue I'm still waiting on because I got some cover that apparently wasn't available, so I'm still waiting on that one. But yeah, Chris, what do you think of this?
It's still a good story. I like all the characters involved. When this cover killed me, though, I was looking forward to some demon action in there, and he wasn't in there at all. Is Jason Blood like Demon's alter ego?
No, Jason Blood turns into the demon, so he was in this sort of
Yeah,
like yeah,
technically.
yeah,
I want to see the demon in there,
yeah.
but yeah, it's like I guess a lot of history of this. Is it called this? Is he called the Silent Knight or the Knight? Whatever the big bad of this series. He's floating around in there, and it's a fun read. I like the characters, and I like the way they use them all. But
Yeah,
yeah, not much more I can say.
you know me, I'm a simple man. I like whenever the supernatural type of characters show up in the DC comics. So of course I liked this, but yeah, I agree with you. It would have been nice to see some more Etrigan action in this, even though they kind of, they went to that like kind of like House of Mystery type house. They had some of the other players in there like Deadman and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think that kind of came more towards the end of the issue, and as a result, you didn't see too much kind of happen with that yet. But I like the elements. I like the things that they're playing with here, the different characters in the story. Like they're trying to make a big kind of story about this, where it's there's different characters at different parts of the DCU right now that are dealing with this issue, and yeah, it's enjoyable. I think the art's really good. I think there was there was two artists on this issue, and that Bandini, I forgot her name. That artist is really good. The other artists have kind of helped out with this issue. I don't know if she was on the first one. Uh, yeah, Michelle Bandini. I definitely noticed her kind of her art in this issue. She's really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed this. Yeah, there's Jason Blood there. For a weekly comic, it's not bad. And the fact that they're telling a Christmas story and it's actually taking itself somewhat seriously is also good, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely not phoned in. Like the art is great and the story's decent.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, you'll be hearing us talk about this weekly as it comes out leading up to Christmas. But yeah, this is definitely, it could be a lot. This is what we said this about the first one. We just felt like it was way better than it had any right to be for a weekly Christmas comic involving Santa Claus. We thought maybe it was going to be some sort of phoned in crappy thing, but we checked it out anyways. And yeah, it was anything but the first time around. And I think you could say the same for this one as well. What'd you give this, Chris?
I'll give it 3.75.
Same. All right. Next up, I got a couple here that I read that were holiday anthology issues. The first one is the better of the two, in my opinion. It's Holiday Tales to Astonish #1, which was the Marvel's Christmas anthology that they put out. These companies tend to do this around these times of the holidays. And basically the reason I say this one wins overall for me is only for the first story, which is by Jerry Duggan and Phil Noto, who I know you're a fan of, Chris. And it was a really funny Fantastic Four story where they basically are having their annual Christmas party with all the people in the Marvel universe that were ever a Fantastic Four member. So and at the start you also see there's some nice intro kind of monologuing by the basically setting up basically what the doom is doing. It's almost like the Grinch or something like that, kind of thing. And and there's a part where they rhyme something. There rhymes. He's making his way through the city, and then he said he's doing something quite, and of course it's censored out, but it was supposed to be shitty. So it made me laugh. I thought that was really good. And then you cut to the Fantastic Four, and of course Ben, Human Torch puts the whole menorah there in the sky in fire because Ben's Jewish. And then they cut to them doing the Christmas party, and you see Wolverine and Spider-Man and Hulk and all these people that were Fantastic Four members hanging out at the Christmas party. And of course, Reed is looking at some sort of gadget, and his wife is, as always, is just put that away. We have guests over. What's wrong with you? And he's like, oh, there's some sort of weird readings going on in the city. We're going to have to take a look into this very quickly. So they jump in the Fantastic car and they try to go find out what's happening, and it leads them to Doom, who's got the sack of toys over his shoulder there. And it turns out that this is none other than a Doom bot because, it's talking funny and it's clearly not Doom. And the Doom bot has been programmed by some people that are basically just stealing presents and stealing them to sell them online. So they basically some computer hackers who hack this Doom bot. And there's a funny scene where the thing says it's cobblering time because he's looking forward to a peach cobbler that's back at the party. So, I don't know. So Jerry Duggan has just brought his humor to this story, and he made it fun like he tends to do in a lot of his stuff. And he had some good Phil Noto art in it. And then they tracked it back to these guys that were hackers in a van down the street that were stealing Christmas presents from people to make a profit. Quick little fun story. I quite liked this one a lot. And then the second one was okay. I mean, it was a X-Men related Christmas story, this second one. And it kind of just, checked in with them and saw what they're up to. That one's all right. And then the last one I thought was not bad. It was a Spectacular Spider-Man, like the, Miles and Peter Parker, like the ongoing series that they have. That one is drawn by Dylan Burnett, who I quite like. And so I was happy to see him drawing that one. But the story itself was just okay. It's again, it's Miles trying to go enjoy a night during the holidays here and ends up running into Spider-Man and they take a bad guy out. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. And at the end of it, he kind of screws things up with a potential new friend of his because he had to ditch him, and he kind of didn't think well of him by the end of it because he didn't know that he's Miles. Then he had to throw on the suit and go help somebody. He thought he got ditched on their night out, hanging out together. So at the end of it, he was just sitting out on the building with Peter, and he's just like, yeah, that's going to happen a lot. He's like, this is why we do what we do, though, blah, blah, blah. So, it rang true in that sense, the Spider-Man kind of stuff that they have to go through. So I give this 3.5 for the main story. I really like the Phil Noto, Jerry Duggan one, but as we get into this next one, there's a lot of cheesy type of holiday type stories that you can tell around this time too that don't really hold any weight. And that's that's basically what I could say about DC's Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg, which is like an 80-page issue. I think it's like a $9.99 price tag. So I just read this one digitally, and other than a couple of good artists on this, I don't really have too much to say about any of these short stories in this. So I'm just going to forward to the artists I really liked in this, and stories that were okay. The first one's got a Green Lantern story. This second one had the Secret Six in it, which I'm a really big fan of. But again, these all had kind of like corny, cheesy type of like Christmas approach, like typical type of Christmas story approaches to them. I didn't find them very funny or entertaining in that sense. This one wasn't bad. This is drawn by Aaron Conley, who I'm a really big fan of. It's kind of got a very cartoony style. He doesn't do too much that I see in the big two comics. But it was a John Constantine story, and the demon was screwing around with them. So that works for me. I thought that was a lot of fun, and it had the good cartoonist on it. So that was really good. And then the other one I wanted to highlight, this is a Joker one, which was kind of like this. I mean, I don't want to highlight this one, but this is a Joker story that was like him trying to do like, that's that Christmas movie. It's a Wonderful Life type story that didn't really work well, because at the end of the day, Joker's just a horrible person. So that was like the result of that end of that story, which I thought was dumb. And then he had a Dead Man short story where he helped some people. That was fine. This is the other one I like. This is Dr. Midnight and A Silent Night, and it's drawn by Francesco Francavilla, who I'm a big fan of. And like it had like that whole black and white look, and it's Dr. Midnight, and it was a silent comic, so it worked really well, and I thought it looked really good. So yeah, this one also I think was a decent one, I think. Otherwise, yeah, the rest were not great. And yeah, this is a Vixen one, and then you had a Superman one, and I think that's it. Yeah. So not worth the price of admission, but like I said, if you want to check it out digitally and find, there's a couple of good ones there anyways, but I give this a 3 because there's way more stories that weren't good in this, and there was more stories in this one than the Marvel one. So I'm rating it on a scale in the sense that, there was a lot more I didn't like in this as opposed to the Marvel one. So I'll say 3 out of 5 for this one. All right, Chris, all new Venom #1.
Ooh, that all new Venom #1. Where is it? I got a couple of covers for this. I think this is the all new Venom. You have
Yeah,
the Capcom covers, are they?
that's sick. Yeah.
That
I almost bought that myself. I was like, oh, that's a nice one.
and then just the A cover here.
Yeah.
So of course, Venom. The big draw of this issue is there's a new Venom, and you don't know who it is. And there's a lot of kind of playing around in here, where they kind of allude to either Madame Mask, I think Luke Cage, Rick Jones, who comes out of nowhere, and Joe Robertson. I guess they're all sort of suspects as to who the new Venom is. I think they have Madame Mask in jail or in a court scene, and then AIM kind of comes in, and one of the AIM scientists, he seems to be some body language expert, and then I think they try to punish Madame Mask or something because of her role in the gang war or failure in the gang war. And at that point, Rick Jones and Joe Robertson seem to escape the courtroom, and then Luke Cage gets kicked out of the courtroom, and Madame Mask escapes, and then Venom shows up to fight these AIM guys. It's a fun little, I guess, device to keep it interesting, but I don't know if it's really necessary for this, or at least to start out the series. But what happened later on in this comic kind of really drew my attention. This was drawn by it's Carlos Gomez. I've been a big fan of his.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed here that he didn't really have anybody to draw. He draws a nice Venom, but in the later pages, Jackpot shows up, and that kind of turned up the heat a little bit. And she was kind of giving Paul some grief there too, so that was kind of fun to see. But then they kind of they're talking about they have to check on somebody. It sounded like they adopted a new kid. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck is this? So it made it seem like they're going to be together again, or, they're back on board with things. But the kid that they have there is Dylan Brock. So he's going to be he's looking for Venom 2 to try and get Venom back. So that's interesting, to say
You
the
got,
least. And, you know, and having Carlos Gomez do some jackpot can't go wrong with that.
I was about to say, draws a good Mary Jane for sure.
You know. But I still give it a 3.5.
Will you be continuing with this one though, or what?
I don't know.
Okay.
Now with this Mary Jane stuff in here, maybe. But I don't think I have it on my solicitations.
Okay.
But it's a good looking book.
Next up, you got Avengers Assemble #4.
I just read this one online. The story here had a lot to do with, I guess, Victor Von Doom's fiance, or I guess her name is Victorious.
Oh yeah, her.
She seems to be exiled from Latveria, and
well, sorry. Can I just say, I think he was supposed to marry her, and then there was a whole thing where she fell for Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
it was during Dan Slott's time on the book. Did you read that? I can't remember.
I didn't read that. I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah. So then he so that whole thing happened, and then she used to be like basically his like right hand, essentially, though. Like, and so I don't know. I just wanted to give context to that. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, so she's upset that, you know, that Doom put up this whatever that shield he has around the country, and she's feeling, I guess, kind of left out. And she has like the power cosmic somehow, or she's got some heavy duty powers, and so she's just smashing up against this against the barrier, and then as she's smashing it, just kind of the shock waves from that are bouncing back and kind of destroying Europe throughout this time. So they send one team down there to try and take her on, or kind of get her on board. And then there's the ongoing story of the Serpent Society. They're out there, you know, trying to use this ruckus as a distraction to get the tears of the serpent or something, whatever they're looking for. But anyways, the story with Victorious, or I think that's what they call her, it was pretty good. You know, they didn't kind of shut her down, but it was not like a battle to the death there. You know, they kind of just talked her down and told her, hey, look, you know, this is not your fault. And, you know, she seems to think she did nothing wrong. But like I say, if you did know the story, there was some shenanigans involved there before. And I think she remarks that she wears that mask, or Dr. Doom made her wear the mask as a penance or something for her misgivings or misdeeds. And they're just trying to tell her, you know, hey, you know, this isn't your fault. You know, you can take power back to yourself. You don't need them and whatever. So that worked out. And then the story with the Serpent Society, they kind of pull a fast one on the Avengers, or on Captain America. I think it's Shang-Chi there. And whatever they're trying to put together, they've got to put together, and they turn Cap into a serpent at the end. So see what happens next. But it's a better story than they've been, and it was nice to see it kind of connected to the one world under Doom. I give it a 3.5.
Nice. Next up, I got JSA #2. Got this connecting Jeff Lemire variant here, which I quite like. And yeah, I got to tell you, I'm really enjoying this series so far. I'm liking the approach that he's taking to this Justice League type book, this Justice Society, and it definitely feels different than the Justice League book that started out right now. And I really like the cast of characters that he's playing with in this one so far. I like that there, even within the JSA, there is a younger group and an older group, because it's a lot of the children of the older group that are now all together in the main DCU continuity, thanks to the series that Jeff Johns did prior to this. And I'm really liking the story that they're telling now with the Injustice League people showing up, and they basically caused a distraction in this issue that like part of the team went to check in on. They realized that it was a distraction when they, you know, heard back from the other members of the team, which include like, you know, some of the old Alan Scott, Green Lantern, and some of the older members. So it's really interesting. It's a really good dynamic. I think the arts looks sharp. I really like it. I think it works well for this book. And yeah, I like Jeff Lemire's approach to superhero comics. It's nice to see that he's doing stuff in the DC universe again, because he's kind of left working with DC for a while now, and he was kind of doing things here and there, coming back to do stuff, but nothing like a premiere kind of big book like this, where it's just like, yeah, it's not the Justice League book, but the JSA is still a pretty big title in terms of like the legacy of DC. So I'm really enjoying what they're doing here, and I'm going to continue reading it. So I'm glad to be checking this out currently. I give this a 3.75 out of 5 this week. Next up, we got Batgirl #2. Really liked the first issue of this, and this also continues to be really enjoyable. Cassandra Cain, again, with her mother in town. She shows up, and at the end of the last issue, they had to face off against a lot of these ninjas, these people that apparently she is afraid of, that she's come there to warn her and tell her the fact that they're after her and anyone in her family, Lady Shiva. And, in this issue, after they take those people out, she's like, well, listen, if you're that worried about these people, then you think we can't take them, then I should get Batman involved. He'll help us. And she's like, no, don't bring it to Batman yet. Just give me the night. If we can't get through tonight and it seems like it's, we don't have any other options, then you can go bring in Batman. But I'd rather us just be able to take care of this. And if we have to, let's leave town. And so Lady Shiva in the fight, she got hurt really bad. And then this guy shows up who's like, I guess, the major badass that they've been running from this whole time as part of these people, the Unseen or something like that, I think they're called, or what his name is. And they're just some like ancient group of like warriors that are apparently after her. And then basically Cassandra goes to this restaurant where she knows this family over the years that she's been to, that basically patches up Lady Shiva. And she used to be, I guess, like a war medic type person, this woman, and she's like an Asian family that work at like a restaurant. And she apparently is really close with the family, and like the other one's really like almost like a mother to her. So she's like, oh, so you're her mother. It's funny, she's never mentioned her. And they have like a nice talk about, kids and how she's always been, good, and you must have raised her well and everything like that. And meanwhile, they're having this talk, of course, these guys are they're hot on their trail. They find their way to the restaurant. The mother whisks her out of there after they try to fight them off. And sadly, by the end of the issue, even though she wants to turn back and her mother forces her not to, these people take out almost the whole family that she was friends with all her life at this restaurant. She takes out the grandmother, and even though they apparently know some sort of martial arts as well, there are no tests for these people. So the issue ends with there's one remaining kid alive out of the family in the restaurant, it looks like, and he's trying to get information from him as to where they went, her and her mother. So I give this a 3.75 out of 5. I think it's a good characterization of Cassandra Cain, and I'm enjoying it so far. I mean, it's just a miniseries right now, but I believe it's a miniseries. Maybe it's an ongoing. I can't even keep track with these guys anymore. They announce it sometimes they don't, but so far so good. And then you got more Cassandra Cain this week with Birds of Prey 16. Again, this is a main storyline with her. She kind of snuck into this base of operations of these bad guys during this arc, and has been transmitting messages over to the teammates. And it turns out in this issue, she comes across the fact that, there's all these Amazonian warriors that they've been mutating. It looks like they're like roided out versions of the Amazonian warriors in this compound. And she sends out a alert to the rest of her team, because she's finally, she's no match for what's happening. And before she gets taken out, she kind of alerts them to where to find her, where her presence is. And the rest of the team rushes in to save her. Big Barda, especially, who's like, loves Cassandra. They're really good friends, and it goes berserk, and is about to throw down with everybody in there when they go in there. But unfortunately, they were too late. And by the end of the issue, you find out that Cassandra Cain was also turned into like one of these roided up mutant super soldiers for this corporation as well, because they weren't able to get there in time because she got taken out. So, did you end up reading this, Chris, or no?
Yeah, I think I did read this one.
Okay. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, listen, I had big ass. I was hoping this series was a lot better than it has been so far, but I'm still reading it, so it's still been enjoyable enough. But I've dropped it now in single issues I'm just reading it digitally, and it's not bad. I just think like, I think with the team involved and like how this series started out, I expected big things for it, and it's just okay, honestly. But this is a good arc. I think like it's getting more interesting each issue, and I'm interested to see where they go from here now that they have to fight her. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, it's pretty much agree with most of you say. Kind of, yeah, what's been, I guess, holding me back from this is like a lack of villains here. Like even here, who are they fighting? They're fighting some like corporation. I thought they'd be sort of more involved in the DC world.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd give this a 3.5.
Uh, I'll go 3.75, but yeah, I agree. I think it had a lot more potential than it's actually, that's been happening in this series. But that being said, I did like the way it ended, and I liked all the Barda moments, and I like the whole team aspect of this book. I just feel like they kind of their focus is all over the place with some of these storylines that they've been telling in this title so far. And I thought the team was going to switch up more, and it just really hasn't. So like, I don't think they've delivered on the promise of what this series was going to be at the start, from what I understand. Right. So I don't know what's happening now. And then Magic Order 5, number 3. Yeah, another good issue from this Mark Millar series. And now that they've got a handle on the people that are after her and her family in this issue, they're kind of trying to stay one step ahead of them. And there's some interesting characters that, find magic ways in order to track her down in this. And yeah, that's basically just been the idea of this series so far, it seems like. And then, like in all Magic Order series, I'm sure Mark Millar is going to come up with some sort of clever way for her to outsmart these people and magic them away somehow, or come out on top, as she tends to do every time. And even Mark Millar kind of like makes it so like it seems like her back's against the wall every series, and then at the very end, she comes up with some way to come out on top again, right? And that's basically what this looks like it's leading up to as well. The first little bit of this series, it seems like, they outsmarted her at every corner. Now it seems like she's got the upper hand, but I'm sure as we come to I'm sure this is going to be like a 5-issue series, like most of these ones have been. When we get to the next issue, I'm sure it's going to look like she's going to lose, and then they'll come back around. So, I mean, they're very formulaic, but he also works with really good artists on these miniseries always, and it's written good. And I really like this property from him. I think it's one of the best there's a reason why this is the 5th miniseries that he's done, which Mark Millar, up till now, like we're seeing lots of like repeats of different miniseries of his characters now that he's established this whole Miller world that all kind of, works together. But before, he would just do like a one and done miniseries of these type of characters. This was like the first one where he's like, you know what, I like this. I'm going to continue doing series of this Magic Order. And he did like I said, we're on the 5th one now. So other than Kick-Ass, I think this is like the longest property of his that he's created, that he's worked on. And I'm sure Nemesis is getting close to that point now too. The fact that he was in Wanted and Big Game, and he's got his own couple of miniseries now. So yeah, so I'll give this a 3.75 out of 5. All right, Chris, talk to us about Nightclub number 2. Nightclub 2, number 4.
Yep. So this follows there's this band of these bully sort of vampires. They don't have a name yet or anything, do they?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but anyway, it just follows them kind of wreaking havoc on the city. They go up against the local thug, I guess, and it takes care of business with him. So that's fun to see. And basically, the original, I guess, the nightclub vampires, they seem to be all dead except that one girl. And I think the big reveal at the end is she's going to try and bring him back. So bring him back from the dead, which I didn't think that was possible. So I don't know about how I feel about that, but I guess it's good for the story. But I wish, if you're going to kill someone, I wish they stayed dead.
This is comics, Chris. Come on.
I know, but I thought maybe this isn't Marvel or DC.
True.
Thought he might have some other plans. She might have started a new group or something and just move on from there. But looks like that won't be the case.
Yeah. What you yeah, I read this as well. I've been really enjoying this series. I think this series has been great. Again, I think the art's great in this one, and I much prefer this sequel to Mark Millar's original Nightclub miniseries. And these all tend to come around the same couple of weeks, all of his miniseries that come out. And I would say this is probably my favorite one that's going on right now. It's definitely the most intriguing in the sense like I always need to know what happens next in this. And I thought the twist that they kind of implemented in this miniseries a couple of issues ago worked really well. And I'm just trying to see it through to its conclusion at this point. I think overall, though, this is a winner. And I think if you missed out on the first miniseries, you can definitely check this one out. All you got to know is what they explained at the start of it is that these guys had a falling out. They became vampires. These three kids, one of them had a falling out with their friend group. And this is basically now the outcome of that, essentially. So, I mean, you can definitely just check this one out and be satisfied. I think I'm really enjoying this though. What'd you give this overall?
Yeah, 3.75.
Yeah, same. And then next up, we got Absolute Superman #2.
Yeah, I didn't get my DC copies this week, but I definitely did read this one. Now, I guess there's a bit of change to Superman lore there. His cape is that sunstone sand or something.
Yeah.
And the cape almost acts. It reminds me of that Spawn almost type of cape. It's sort of alive or it's sentient. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's something different, I guess. Most of this comic, he's locked or handcuffed to Lois Lane, and she's trying to tell him that he's bad or that the Lazarus Company's good and he needs to come in. And then I guess he's trying to tell her, his side of the story or something, or through his actions that he's not a bad person. It's okay stuff, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be continue on with this. I got to cut some stuff. And, I might continue reading it, but I don't know if I'll be continue buying it, which I was thinking of getting through like maybe the first arc for all of these. I think I might just stick to that for now, and hopefully, these guys better start ramping up some action or something going on in here than him following around with Lois Lane. It's enough of that story.
Yep, I agree with you. This is cut from my list. I think I've pre-ordered the next issue, and I'm done with it after that. Like you said, I might check it out still. I don't even know if I'm going to see it through the first arc. If it is good, and I can always go back and look for the issues and jump back in. The way I look at it, because past the first issues of these Absolute series, anyways, I think they're already starting to lose their buzz, honestly. And this is still my least favorite out of everything. And it's not that it's bad. I'm just not as interested in this. This one isn't exciting me like the other ones have been, honestly. And, I
think we should be doing more with these peacemakers. It was interesting, when you see the covers, you see peacemakers all around, but they're just basically like generic soldiers.
Yeah.
There's nothing interesting about them.
I don't like the whole thing about who Lois Lane is in this world. I don't like that. Like it's really changing the elements that I like about Superman, which I'm not a big Superman guy, but if you're going to change the few things that seem to work for the character, I don't know if I'm as interested in it, right? Like, it's not like, not to be said that that's not being that doesn't mean you can't do it and have a good story. I mean, Mark Millar's Red Sun is a great alternate universe Superman story, but that had very much more so to do with like he was just fell in a different place and like what would have happened with the character. If he went to Russia instead of, right? Like that's so like it's there's certain elements in this where I feel like it's different, but it's not different enough. And the things that are different, I don't know if I care for some of the choices he made. I think it's well written. I think Jason Ayers is a great writer and it looks good, but I just not as interested in this series. That's just the fact that, the fact of the matter. Yeah. So I think it's done. I think I have one more pre-ordered and I think I'm done with this one too. What'd you give this then?
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah. Next we got Batman 155.
Yeah, once again, I just have to read this online, no copy. And once again, this I don't know, this story just seems like this series just seems like it's spinning its wheels until the Hush thing now. The story's it's decently interesting, I guess, but there's just so much going on. It's almost the same type of story is going on in that Long Halloween, where it's more mystery. or more of a detective type comic, where this is same thing here. I guess a lot of history of what James Gordon is up to, and I don't know, they kind of trash his character here a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here. I know what Chip's up to here. Like it's holding my attention, but it's nothing crazy.
I actually really liked this issue. I thought this is like almost like his last hurrah here because like I liked the story that he was telling with Gordon here and how he's not as honorable as a man as maybe he's letting off as in his life. And listen, he had a tryst with this guy's wife, and there's a whole, and he's had a history of that kind of stuff with his marriage, right? So like the fact that he is seeing this woman, I thought that was good. I like the fact that he doesn't know if he screwed up or not. I liked Batman believing in him to the point where he's like, there's got to be another reason as to why this all went down the way it went down. And for a moment there, I honestly, it didn't look good for him. He actually got me. Like, I was like, I don't know, man. This like, I don't know who, like, I know this is a Batman comic and it's a superhero comic. So he did make me wonder there that did he actually do this for a moment in this? And I thought Jorge Fornes, who's the artist on this issue, who's done a bunch of Batman issues and stuff, he's worked with Tom King a lot, is great. I quite like this a lot, actually. And in a week where it was, it was a fine week, but it wasn't nothing too exciting going on. I thought this was probably one of the better books that I read this week because I think Zdarsky, like you said, well, whether or not, like, I know he's doesn't have much time left on this book, and he may not be, able to. I hope he finishes this story that he's telling, and he's probably more he had to say. But I thought this was well done for what it was, honestly. What'd you give this then?
I give it a 3.5. Wasn't a big fan.
I'll go 4 out of 5 for this week. I quite liked it. Basically, you found out that it's Riddler is in on this, and he used Jarvis tech, which is the Mad Hatter type stuff. Spoilers to basically make him shoot that guy and make it seem like he was guilty of shooting that guy. And of course, the motive is there. He was the mayor, right? That guy, right? That's the mayor, essentially. Yeah, the motive is there that because he was like, banging his wife, right? So I kind of like the mystery that unfolded from this. Next up, we got Avengers 21.
Here. Yeah, I've got a copy of this one.
No. Shit. It doesn't look like I loaded the art on this one, but yeah, go ahead. Oh, nice. I didn't see that one. That is nice. I like that.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody read the solicitation, or if you read the solicitations for this one here. This was teasing an X-Men versus Avengers, either the beginning of a throwdown. And I was kind of hyped for that, the way solicitation was worded. It didn't leave much to the imagination. And I don't know why they have to do this. Like, this is just a gripe. And it was just the whole thing was just a swerve. Like, it wasn't a bad comic. Like, that's why I don't know why you got to swerve us on the stupid solicitation. And, like having all this Avengers versus X-Men coming back again, round 2, and all this sort of baloney. The comic itself was decent. Basically, the Avengers and the X-Men are just checking in on each other and see what's going on. And I didn't mind the issue, but I just didn't like the fact that they had to swerve us, 2-3 months down the road. I'm thinking we're going to get some throwdown or the beginning of a battle between them. And it turned out to be nothing.
I read this too, but don't you think maybe what's going on there is that even though by the end of this issue it looks like they were going to work well together, that this is just to set up to make us think that everything's going to go well and then something's going to go wrong and they are going to be ended up on the opposite ends of each other? You don't think that's the case at all here? Okay. I don't know. That's the way I looked at it. I was like, because like you, I was like, oh, I mean, it's not going to be it wouldn't be the first time that those two have faced off against one another. So if that's the swerve of him maybe hyping it up and making it seem like they're going to go against one another, and instead we're just going to get a storyline of them working together, that is actually something new. I mean, to be fair, because like this wouldn't be the first time they've already fought against one another for whatever stupid reason, right? So, I mean, if we're going to get a story where they actually work together, which I guess isn't new either. But like, if it's like a well told one, I don't know. I'm here for it still. I
No,
think,
I don't mind it. I thought the story was decent, but they didn't
yeah,
have to. You don't need to swerve us with, like, who reads the solicitations anyway? It's just comic book fans. It's
yeah,
not like this is going out to the general public and
yeah.
people are reading this and thinking, oh, this is something. What the hell you got to swerve us for? Come on, we're on your side already. You like it.
But yeah, no, I like this issue. I thought it was good. There was a lot of good moments. I really like the Beast Iron Man moment. I thought that was really good. And
Yeah,
like that whole, again, the fact that they got history, right? And I like the moment. I like the whole glob moment where he's the cook of the new X-Men headquarters, and then they have that whole thing about, oh yeah, if it wasn't for Jarvis helping keep us together, you're a big help around here, because he's not really out on the battlefield anymore, but he obviously does the cooking. And then Storm goes in there and sees that it's him, and she gives him a kiss. And again, like, it's just cool because Storm's obviously an X-Men, but she's on the Avengers team now, and then he's all like, smitten because he went and kissed him. Like, I thought there were some good moments in this, actually. I quite like this issue. But I hear you about the swerve. Yeah, why deceive people that are interested in this just to get them to buy into it, right? So
yeah.
yeah. What'd you give this then?
I got a 3.75.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I might go 4 on this one, actually. I did like some of those moments. It wasn't a strong week though, I will say that. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5 this week. Yeah, no, I just there's a lot of middle of the line books this week where we've actually had a lot of really good weeks lately, I thought, but this week was just okay. So I gotta give something. Something's gotta rise to the top here for me to talk about when it comes to favorite of the week here, Chris. Ultimates number 7.
It's got the A cover here. Ooh, got a nice one there.
Yeah, Inyuk Lee, I think. Lee Inyuk, yeah.
And I guess we're just going through the fallout of their battle with the Hulk and that team there. And I guess everybody just sort of licking their wounds. Sounds like it's almost a year anniversary of the big explosion, and you just get to spend a few pages with the whole team. And it was, yeah, a good sort of pace type of comic, where you just kind of let things breathe
Yeah.
and see how it goes. I like the stuff with Iron Man and not Iron Man, Doctor Doom and She Hulk up on the island there, or wherever space satellite that they're on. And the stuff even with America, was that America Chavez there that popped in there for a
Yep.
few scenes,
Yep.
kind of stopping the protesters. I'm not sure what Hawkeye was up to there,
No.
but yeah, but it was all just good stuff. Nothing crazy, but yeah. What did you think about it?
Yeah, you said it. I was gonna use the word a breather issue as well. Yeah, this is what this was. It was fine, but this book has been so good lately. They kind of needed, I think, an issue like this, like without big things happening, like it has been every issue, to just kind of move the story along, bring in a couple of other characters, connect the dots in a couple of places. So that's what this was. It wasn't a bad issue, but it wasn't a very exciting issue, let's say, compared to what's
Yeah.
been going on in this book lately, which has honestly been a great title. Honestly, I've really enjoyed this book throughout this year, and yeah, this was just an okay issue, I think, in regards to
I'm
that.
telling you, if they kept the pedal to the metal, I wouldn't have minded either, though.
No, but listen, I mean, sometimes you got to do this kind of thing to get to the next big thing, right? So, we did just have a big thing happen at the end of last issue, where Tony got taken out, or Iron Patriot, whatever, and
I guess he looks like he's not dead. They have him in like some
it,
sort of healing chamber near the end.
yeah, right here, yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? But yeah, that was a big thing that happened, and I guess they're kind of just dealing with the fallout of that now. And I did like my favorite scene in this was probably a Captain America with the Human Torch there at the start,
Yeah.
because they're kind of like the invader versions of like Pyro, Human Torch, and like and him, And again, you're talking about how they're both like older and that they're living in this new world and how they're not really up to date on things. And I really like the talk those two had when they went to the bar, and he's like, oh, this bar used to be like this back in the day. And I like that they're using those versions of those characters for these ultimate version characters, because I like the man out of time Cap like a lot, like that version of Captain America, like, right? So like, now like obviously he's the seasoned vet and he's seen it all, he's like the Avengers leader and everything else, but like this version of Cap that they're working with here I really like. So I that's probably my favorite part about this issue. What'd you give this?
I give it a 3.5.
Same. Yep. Next up we got Wolverine number 4. Great Capcom cover here. This one really
Yeah,
liking these Capcom covers. These are great.
there it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But another stinker issue. What can I say?
Yeah, I'm glad I got it for the cover. That's about it. What a boring fucking comic, man.
Everybody's trying to teach us when to go to talk, and then he just kind of, okay, you stay here. I gotta go. Whatever. Take care of business. Come on. Like this. I'm sure this story with this gold adamantium could have been something, but it's just not. It should be better. Like with the characters that they're bringing in. That wasn't Maverick in this here earlier somewhere. They have Lady Deathstrike there.
Yeah.
That whatever that Cypher guy that was in the beginning, and
Yeah.
I guess he gets possessed by this golden adamantium that's like some elder god now. It seems like, come on, everything can't be an elder god.
Honestly, like if you can't make a Wolverine comic that's good at it, I don't know. They're in trouble. This whole line of X-Men. We talked about it already. They're in trouble.
Wolverine had a tough year. He didn't have much good stuff coming out for him.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's just I don't know, it's just not doing it. Like it's one of those things where we've talked about on the show here before where it seems to have all the right ingredients, but it just doesn't blend together well because there's some stuff here I feel like it would work maybe under a better writer, better hands, or just a more interesting story. I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. I'm with you, Chris. I think because of covers or because of double shipping, I think I might have this pre-order for another issue or two. But I can't see them turning this around. Like, like, I bet you this story isn't going to even come to its conclusion. This crazy adamantium thing that's going on in the first arc. This is probably going to be like a 12 issue to 18 issue ongoing story, which I'm just going to tap out right now. Honestly, like I'll read the issues I have, but I don't have any hope for this series under this direction, under this writer. It's too bad because I really would like to read a good ongoing Wolverine series. He's one of my favorite characters, and this is just not all that interesting, sadly. So
I think we did miss one series earlier this year, that Wolverine Deep Cuts. I've heard some things about that, and I heard that was pretty good.
I think isn't that Chris Claremont coming back to the character in the one?
Yeah, it's kind of like a missing story from back in the day, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being good, but anyways. What'd you give this?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. All right, and then finally we got X-Men number 8 this week, which again, great Capcom cover. Really liking these variants. I think we still got some more coming out in the next couple of weeks too, but Cyclops one
there. Nice, can't go wrong with that. Finally, X-Men doing some X-Men things here. Jeez, what issue is this?
8.
8. Like 8 issues before these guys got together as a team and did something. And I think once the action is flowing, then this is where Stegman shines. I think the art looked good here, and I like seeing Cyclops kind of just take charge. The whole team was ready to go. Beast was taken. I got some scenes with Beast there in the mutant jail, and he meets up with Jubilee, but all that sort of business in the jail. It was good stuff. He gets the beats in there. They got those inhibiting collars on them. I just don't like those inhibiting collars as a concept. I guess there's some you gotta have some way to capture these people and have them out there. But if those things were out there, why wouldn't all these villains just keep a freaking whole stack of those in their back pocket whenever they got to fight these people? But otherwise, I thought this is one of my favorite issue of this X-Men series so far, and it gives me hope for the future, where this was really ready to chop.
Hey, it took like honestly like 12 issues for Jed McKay's Avengers to start getting good. So I agree with you. I have hope for this as well. Stegman actually did look really great on this issue, I thought, and I actually forgot about what happened in this comic before we started showing off the art. Because I read it, I guess one of the first things I think I read this week. And but yeah, this Gray Malkin prison, that's what his name was, right?
Yeah.
That stuff was all really fun. I agree. Like that was some good moments with the Beast. I like that he's now this new older version of the Beast that people really have a love for. And it's, whether it's in this book or one of the other titles that we talked about earlier, they showed up this week. What was it? Avengers.
Yeah, and Avengers.
That Jed's also writing. Like, I like that people are he's making note of that and like how much of a beloved character he is. And these are great moments in this issue, honestly. Like, and like you said, the team actually being a team and, taking down these mutant haters. It's good stuff. I did like this issue as well, actually, this week. And it took me a moment to remember what was happening here. But yeah, I don't know. It's my favorite issue. If it's not, it's close to it because it seems like every other issue has been good so far in this series, but it's like that's kind of where we're at with a lot of the X-Men books right now, and then some of them are just plain sucking every issue. But
well, I think it's the fourth time they've been fighting as a team. Like all the other ones, like they kind of just sent a few of them out, or it's like one was Cyclops based, and they had that kid that they thought was a mutant that wasn't a mutant. So
so and then we've looked at the solicits for the next few issues. There's some more interesting things going on. We got Alpha Flight going on at some point. I think there is going to be more.
Yeah, and I'm crossing over with the other team, so that's good stuff.
Yeah. What'd you give this?
I guess in light of your past comments there, I'd have to give it a 4 then, let's say.
I'll say the same. Yeah.
Gotta find something somewhere.
That's right. All right, that's going to do it for our week of comics, the ones that we read this week. I do want to show this cover off very quickly in light of Chris's most recent his Boxing Day haul there. I went out and got some comics as well. So yeah, you brought up the fact that if we do have some small hauls here and there, I guess we should be showing them off more. And it's just that other than new comics and collected edition like hardcovers and stuff, I don't really get a lot of single issue stuff outside of that. But sometimes I do. And sometimes I even pick up some cheesecake, Chris. Like doing this show, it's made me appreciate some of the cheesecake here that you've brought to the table. And I am starting to get a lot of other covers now lately. Not too haven't fallen too down the hole as of yet, so to speak. But here's one I think you'll really appreciate. This is a limited, I think, to 500 J. Scott Campbell Vampirella cover here. I want to show off here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I
saw put some effort in that one, that's for sure.
What's that?
Put some effort in that one.
Exactly. So I saw this and I was like, oh, that's a J. Scott Campbell cover. Yeah. I'm like, and I really like the cover, and he didn't definitely phone this one in. This is one of the nicer covers I've seen of his. I don't know how old this is. Like, it's like a limited one that he did here. I can tell you in a second, but yeah, quite like this one. So I had to pick that up. Yeah. This is a elitecomics.com exclusive cover. Yeah, and I think it came out when is this? 2020. So yeah, it's limited to 500 cover that they did. So came across that. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm a fan of J. Scott Campbell, but as we've talked about, sometimes he's been phoning them in on some of these covers lately. He's been doing for like non-virgin variants, like the cheaper ones, let's say, that we can all get. And so I picked this up. So I was really happy to grab that. So yeah, there you go. Wanted to show that one off there. All right, Chris, what are you looking forward to reading next week?
Let's see. So next week we have the week of December 11th of Amazing Spider-Man 63. I think I'm picking up Uncanny X-Men 7, the Ultimate Universe Year 1 or 1 year in. X Factor 5. I think I'm just reading. The Laura Kinney Wolverine. I think I'm picking up some variant cover for that. See what's happening in Storm 3. And I think that's it for Marvel. Let's see what DC's got in store. DC versus Vampires World War V, number 5. This is a Superwoman special. Probably not going to read that, though. Or I might read that, but I'm not buying it. And Santa Claus and Batman, or Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. Let's give that a read and see if there's anything from Image coming. Oh, Transformers 15. That might be it. So hopefully it won't be too crazy. Got a few of my DCs coming in next week. Or my last week DC's coming in too, so we'll see.
Yeah, I don't have that Ultimates year issue on my list. Although I thought I pre-ordered it. I don't have it on my list though. So if that does come out next week, I don't know. I'm gonna have to try to scoop that up because I don't see it appearing on my list if you have the right date there. So hopefully I can get an issue of that. So yeah, that's definitely something I want to check out and that I thought I pre-ordered. Amazing Spider-Man 63, Batman Santa Silent Night Returns number 3. I got the Creep Show Holiday Special for 2024, DC versus Vampires World War V number 5, Kea 23, Minor Arcana number 4, Transformers 15. Oh, I do have it here. Sorry, I just didn't see it there for a moment. Ultimate Universe year 1. Okay, yeah, 1 year in. Sorry. Uncanny X-Men number 7 and X Factor number 5. So yeah, some good stuff, decent stuff coming out next week. And then, I'm sure there'll be some stuff digitally that we read as well. But yeah, so we have, just to remind everybody, our last week of doing Comic Shop Talk for the year will be, actually it'll be the week of December 18th, that week of comics. So it'll be the week before Christmas. That'll be our last week of Comic Shop Talk. And then the week of January 1st, the new year, that week of comics, because I'm going by the Wednesdays here, that'll be our first show back. But between Christmas and New Year's, after the 31st, after Christmas, before New Year's, that week, and you can expect that show of the Comic Shop Talk Awards, our 3rd annual episode. So yeah, that we'll have that ready and uploaded for you. Maybe check for it by the Friday, December 27th, after Boxing Day if you're in Canada here, or Christmas. That whole time we'll drop that episode for you guys, so you got something to watch between the holidays there. So yeah, that. Really looking forward to that. So our last week will be like I said, the shipping comics week of December 18th for the year of regular Comic Shop Talk. And then we'll see you back in the new year. All right, Chris, your favorite book of the week this week?
This is a tough week.
Yeah.
In weeks previous to this, we'd have a local man out there or something to bridge the gap. But this time, not so much. I'm going to go with X-Men.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. In talking about it, definitely was in the running for me because like I said, I'd forgotten about what had happened in this one. And I guess I've been down on X-Men in general lately. But what else did I like here? Avengers was good, but ultimately I do got to go with Batman 155. I actually thought this was a really good issue, and I'm going to see and be sad to see Zdarsky go from this title. To make way for the Hush team there, but it'd be interesting to see Jim Lee draw some Batman comics as well again. But I just feel like he had more to say, and like we had talked about on the show here before, a lot of the decision making, it seemed like when he was on the title, was editorially driven. He got thrown into a bunch of event type of stuff, and I don't know if he ever got to tell his story freely the way he wanted to. Maybe we could ask him about it if we end up seeing him this weekend at some that event we plan on heading to. And if we do, we'll definitely chat about that.
Why did your Batman run suck? Were you handcuffed? Because it wasn't that bad though when you think about it. Like that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't bad. I mean, we talked about it a few episodes ago. I feel like we said, whether his Daredevil was better or this is better, we both agree that his Daredevil has been better because this one was just a bit inconsistent. But the times that this book was really good, it was really good, right? So like it's hard to say overall. I think it was a bit of a mixed bag of a run, but it definitely had high points, highlights to it. And honestly, I feel like you could say that for like the last while for Batman, which is funny because like I feel like they put a lot of really good writers on his title, but like the last
I
few
think they put the
writers,
screws to Chip Zdarsky. Like even with just having Jorge Jimenez just kind of in and out all the time,
yeah,
you're not getting a standard, sort of, A1 art with that, because that kind of took him out a few. Like I think it was a few arcs without him in there. It's just that
yeah,
it's just a shame.
yeah.
I feel like he got robbed. He got robbed. It's a big chance to do
Well,
Batman, and I feel like he just got robbed.
maybe that's what you need to tell him when you see him. You got robbed, Chip. You got robbed.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be like, "You're right."
You can decide that when no one's looking.
Your Marvel's not going to be there. It's okay. You're like, it's all right. You can talk freely.
Oh wait.
He's like, they're always listening. There's an executive in the room.
That's it.
He looks over at him like, so yeah. Well, yeah, look forward to hearing more about that. Maybe we'll have some funny stories to talk about next episode. If we do end up going to that event there, we might see Chip. So stay tuned, everybody. But we'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe. Don't forget. And we'll see you next week here as always. All right, Chris. Thanks.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.